Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing kind of like a top 10 Doberman facts or top 10 Doberman tips. I guess these are my own tips and pieces of advice that Draco, disclaimer, they're working on their enrichment treats right now and Draco is he's just going at it. But anyways, these are kind of like my own top 10 pieces of advice or kind of like facts I can give for new Doberman owners. Obviously, I'm no expert. I am still learning as we speak. There's always new things to learn, especially with these dogs. They're amazing, amazing dogs, but they're very, very smart. So a little history lesson about Dobermans before we continue on with the video. So pretty much they were created by Louis Doberman in 1870. He was a tax collector in Germany and he wanted a dog that would go on runs with him to collect money and everything. So he wanted a dog that was fierce, loyal, obedient, protective, something that looked really scary to intimidate others. So that's why the Doberman was created. Definitely they have came a long ways since those times. They are more of a family dog now. I mean, these two are like total family dogs. They're very loving, affectionate. I feel like over the years that working drive, especially in the States, has been bred out of Dobermans. I'll definitely make another video that goes more in depth that contrasts like the difference between American Dobermans and European Dobermans. But for now, just know that European Dobermans have more of a working drive because in Europe, they're bred more for protection, sports, and temperament. And in America, they're bred more for family house dogs, show lines, and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll get more into that in like another video. And their dad is home, so in the Lambo. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's super fucking loud. So let's start with the 10 things you should know about Dobermans before getting a Doberman. I don't know, let's just get into it. Number 1, Dobermans look scary, but they're actually like the biggest babies. People always, whenever they see me walking with them, they always move to the other side of the road. That's obviously, you know, people obviously have like a negative stigma against them, but they're honestly the biggest babies. Draco sleeps with me at night. He follows me everywhere. He suckles his blanket at night. And Katana likes to sleep with us on the couch. She's not allowed on the bed because she will space hoard the whole bed. So she has to sleep in her kennel at night. Number 2, they are very high energy dogs. I mean, I hope you guys already have done enough research to know that they're very high energy dogs. They're literally like crackheads almost if they don't have enough like exercise beforehand. Draco will literally do laps around our house if we don't exercise him or if he has not, you know, got to play fetch that day or play with the flirt pool or done like some high intensity workout. He will be an absolute crackhead. Just a simple walk around the block for Doberman is just not enough, unfortunately. With Draco, we do high intensity workouts and that entails playing fetch with the chuck it ball. Luckily, we have a big enough backyard where we're able to just exercise him in the backyard and I don't have to take him to the park every single day. The flirt pool, however, we do that at like a park. So either one of the two. He also does like protection sports, obviously. So that is kind of like an exercise in itself. On top of that, we also go on walks daily. And that kind of leads me to my third point. They also require not just a physically they also require not to be exercised physically, also to be exercised mentally as well. And how I exercise them mentally is I give them enrichment toys. And you have to take the time out of your day, obviously, to fill these puzzle toys. I freeze them. Let me just show you an example. I actually have one right here. This is one of their enrichment toys. I'm gonna make a video on how to fill these. Okay. There's nothing in here because I already killed it. But pretty much I fill it with like their favorite toys and their treats and I fill it with some peanut butter and I throw it in the freezer and that kind of keeps them busy for a couple, like 30 to 40 minutes, I want to say. That is another thing that I do for them is puzzle toys for mental stimulation. What are you? Next point, I don't even know which one we're on. Next main point, I guess, is making sure that you have enough space if you are considering to get one. However, even if you do live in a small, you know, apartment, I believe that it is doable. You're just gonna have to put in more of like the extra time and energy to take them out every single morning or like take them on walks or run them and stuff like that. Making sure you have enough space just makes it a little bit easier. Luckily, our house is Okay, thank you. Oh, luckily our house is pretty big and we're able to, you know, have both of them and with our other dogs and cats as well. And everyone, this Katana's back, by the way. Everyone kind of fits perfectly. The backyard's big enough for them to run around. So just making sure you have like that space just makes things a little bit easier for you and your dog. Next point is they are very smart. They're actually the 5th most smartest breed, I think, on like multiple lists, or they're always like in the top 5. So they're very, very smart dogs. They're highly trainable. I wouldn't say they're easily trainable, but they're highly trainable. If you're the right person and if you're like a confident and strong leader, they do need that type of person to guide and train them. Since they're so smart, I feel like it's kind of a good thing. Obviously, they're easier to train, and I feel like they're just more in tune with my emotions. Like they know when I'm sad. Since these guys are so smart, with that comes with training, obviously. So with Draco, I didn't want to fuck things up the first time, and we decided to, you know, get him a trainer, a professional trainer at that. I feel like even if I did do things on my own and I watched like a bunch of YouTube videos and everything, I just didn't want to make that mistake of like messing up his training, especially from puppyhood. Katana's kind of a different case. She is a less confident dog compared to Draco, and that's just because we got her at an older age and she just never had the proper training to begin with. Putting time and effort into training is extremely, extremely important, especially with this breed, since they're so freaking smart and they're like just really big dogs. So they need that training or they will overpower you. And I don't like to say like the word alpha or like slang that term around, but they do need quote unquote like an alpha leader. And that's not to say that I mean like be alpha and like be crazy on your dog or anything, but they just need someone that's confident, and that's very, very important, especially with training this breed. Point number, who knows which one I'm on right now. DCM, another thing that I wanted to talk about, also known as dilated cardiomyopathy. Very long name. It is a silent killer in Dobermans. It is pretty much a heart condition that is very common in Dobies. I don't want to go in too much depth about it, but if you want to do your own research about DCM, feel free to. I feel like I'll definitely make another video about like just about DCM and everything. If you're considering on getting a Doberman, it is extremely important for you to find a cardiologist or a special vet in your area to do health tests for your Doberman. So usually DCM doesn't really show signs until they're a little bit older, but there has been, I don't even know how many deaths a year, many deaths a year with DCM and Dobermans, and most people catch it when it is too late. So to catch it at an earlier stage, perhaps, it is very important to find that cardiologist and to do annual checkups. For example, Draco, he did a Holter monitor recently, and it's where he wore a 24-hour Holter, and the doctor pretty much placed like this thing on his chest area so she can later reread the recordings and then kind of analyze all of them and then send me a report. Luckily, everything came back normal and within normal limits, but it is extremely important that you monitor these things and especially meet with the cardiologist annually. And to be honest with you, it is not cheap. His tests for his EKG and for his Holter and for the physical exam was around like $1,000, and I feel like that's like the ballpark, but it was definitely a little over $1,000. Yeah, that's kind of like a cost that you have to think about as well, since you are gonna have to be meeting with the cardiologist annually. Another thing that I really wanted to touch on was anxiety. So that is something that I've heard that Dobermans have quite often, and that's kind of like a temperament thing, is that they do struggle with separation anxiety. Luckily for Draco and Katana, this is just my personal experience. I've never had to deal with any separation anxiety with them before. Draco does cry in the crate, but he ends up stopping after like 15 to 20 minutes of like constant crying, which is kind of annoying, but he ends up stopping, which isn't bad. Katana, on the other hand, she is perfect in a crate. She loves sleeping in a crate. It's kind of like her safe space. However, I have heard of people in the past talk about separation anxiety amongst Dobermans, so I think that's another thing to kind of be aware of, is that separation anxiety, and they can develop it at like a super young age. And with that, it's just because they want to just be so close to us, and that kind of is like my next talking point, is they always want to be touching you. They always want to be near you. They always want to be close to me. There's not a time where they never follow me into the bathroom. You will literally have no personal space anymore because you'll have like a giant dog following you around everywhere. I mean, for example, like Draco has just plopped. He needs to always be touching me. He's plopped right here and he's suckling his blanket. And Katana, oh gosh, is on the other side. They're always in my peripherals, always near me, or in my vicinity, especially in the house. I feel like I can't get this from like any other dog. I mean, with Wulf, which is my Chihuahua, she's more independent. She kind of acts like a cat. And then Pablo, our French Bulldog puppy, he's obviously still a puppy, so I'm still waiting to see how his personality is going to develop once he gets older. Main thing to consider when you're going to get a Doberman is that you will get shit for cropping and docking. And yes, you heard me right. People will argue about it online. People will talk about it, And if you're not down for that, then maybe get a dog that's not cropped. Not many reputable breeders will send home a Doberman that isn't within standard. And the standard over here, at least, is, you know, the whole cropping and docking thing. So with Draco, I had absolutely no say in what style of crop, what length, nothing. He was already done before I even put a deposit down for him. And Katana, I got her at 2, so there was just no say in that whatsoever anyways. But a lot of people online will give you shit, especially if you post a picture or a video with your Doberman. So, I mean, I guess over the past like year or so, I've just learned to ignore it. I mean, there's not much you can do, and a lot of people do message me and ask like, what can you do to make people stop talking about it, My only and best advice is to just ignore it. I know it's easier said than done because it took me months to ignore cropping and docking comments because I feel like I have to defend myself and and I type like long paragraphs, and at the end of the day, like, these people have already made up their minds about cropping and docking, and there is no point of going back and forth trying to change their mind. My final and last piece of advice, obviously this is number 10, is that most places do not allow Dobermans. You comfy, bud? Dobermans aren't really a well-liked breed of dog. I mean, there are a lot of breed restrictions or places that don't allow Dobermans. If you live in an apartment, usually there's a list of breeds that aren't allowed within that building, or if you're living there, you can't own one of those. And unfortunately, Dobermans are just on that list. So it's just really important that you are 100% sure within the next 10 years that your Doberman is still alive with you, that you're not going to live or move into a building that doesn't allow dogs, and it might cause like some problems later on. And that is it for this video, guys. Katana! Just wanted to say thank you so much, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hopefully this video was really informative and interesting for you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. I think we're gonna do maybe a feeding video, I don't know. Please comment and subscribe, or if you like the content, if you wanna see other things, please comment and let me know. I read everyone's comments and I try to reply to everyone's comments as well. So thank you, and hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Bye, guys.